Hoi there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to New Football Talks. I am joined by Bill. Say hello, Bill.
Oh my god, hello.
Week 6 is in the books. Let's get right into it. All four teams won. This is the first time that's happened this year. Hopefully, the first of many. But
Exactly.
let's get started with the Throne of Ease. I'm going to say it right now. I missed half of these games for reasons which I won't go into, but I missed this one. I could have actually watched it. I only saw the first 10 minutes when the Patriots put up a field goal. For the first half, the Bengals secondary was stingy. They would not let the Patriots throw the ball. They wouldn't let Brady be comfortable, but it didn't matter as later on the Patriots got it going. Both sides of the ball, the Patriots started to dominate even when the Bengals did take some leads in the game. It didn't matter. Once the Patriots got hot, it was full steam ahead, and the Kitties were declawed.
Right?
So, Bill, how about Gronkowski? Do you think he's back?
Oh, Gronkowski is back. He's looking scary. I think he had over 100 yards in this game and a touchdown. And what's really scary about that offense is the amount of weapons on that offense, and specifically the dual tight end threat of Martellus Bennett and Rob Gronkowski. That is scariness right there. Who do you cover? Who do you cover? It's almost impossible.
You need an amazing defense, which I can only think of two defenses, and only one of them's playing the Patriots this year. But I'm going to say that this is an even better team than last year, and that's because they still don't even have Dion Lewis back. Like, Garrett Blunt is playing out of his mind. I mean, he didn't have as great a game as he had in the past, but this team has never been more balanced. Their defense is amazing. Dante Hightower, I told you, he is the heart and soul of this team. Got a sack on Dalton, which resulted in 2 points, a safety. I mean, next week we're gonna have a subject, a fan privilege, and this franchise is one of the new epitomes of a cushy season because you have a garbage AFC team which kills themselves really. The Patriots don't have to do much because these guys will eliminate each other because they always split. And even when they do sweep, it just hinders that one team. There's not much they could do. They could all split with each other and it doesn't matter. They could all split with the Patriots and it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because the Patriots just win every other game against teams like this. The Bengals aren't a bad team, I would say, but they really miss Mohamed Sanu and Marvin Jones. So we're going to get to Marvin Jones later.
Right. I
But they
mean,
missed those two guys. They needed to draft a wide receiver. They could have used a Will Fuller, but Houston took him, which was a good
right.
choice if you ask me, so far at least. But I don't know what to make of the Bengals. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I'm starting to not think they'll
The
make it because
I think
uh,
I think the Bengals have a chance with something else that happened in uh, this week
oh
uh,
yeah,
with Ben Roth with Ben Roethlisberger.
but there's
But
Baltimore too, which if Baltimore
Baltimore is a legit team. But I honestly believe once they get Tyler Eifert back, you know, and have another weapon to add onto AJ Green. With Eifert back in the mix, they will be a much more scary team to defend. Right now, all you need to do to beat the Bengals, double cover or triple cover AJ Green. Who
stop the
who
run.
else is going to be? Yep, and who else is going to beat you? Jeremy Hill hasn't proved that he can beat anyone so far this year.
He hasn't
Giovanni
even
Bernard.
been. He hasn't showed up much. Bernard
Yep.
has been the workhorse now, and it's not being split, and I think that's a problem because they're not letting Jeremy Hill run unless something's wrong with him. They need to spread the ball out. but they don't have as
I
much
agree.
weapons. Once Eifert comes back, they might be a good like two punch team with those two and the running backs are their own thing. But until then, it's going to be very hard for the Bengals to win because after that they got the Browns, which they're hosting the Browns, should be an easy win. I just don't know what will they do after that because the schedule does get a little more rough since they got to play. They haven't played Baltimore yet,
Right.
and they haven't played. Well, they haven't. They're gonna play Houston next, I think. Then they have to play. I forget the rest of the schedule. I just know it gets a little more tough after the Browns game. But
Right.
anyway,
And the other issue is how long will Vontez Burfict maybe be suspended
he's not
because
gonna
of
get
his prior
suspended, Bill.
history?
From what Ian Rappaport said, he's gonna get a fine. He's not gonna get suspended. Though I would love a suspension because Vontez Burfict is definitely. I don't know how, but he's already dethroned Ndamukong Suh as the dirtiest player in the NFL. This guy took low shots at Gronk and Martellus Bennett, and Martellus Bennett wasn't even going to catch the ball, but he still took the shots anyway. I would love a
Right.
suspension. I don't know how long it would be. It should be a long time because it's a repeat offense. That's what I would think. It's not a concussion. If he did something that resulted in an actual injury, I would say yes, he's getting suspended, but because it wasn't an injury, he's gonna get away not scot free, but a slap on the wrist.
But here's the issue: is Ndamukong Suh consistently got tagged with suspensions. What is going on, NFL? Why is it okay to suspend the Detroit Lion that's considered dirty and not the Cincinnati Bengal that is going for players'
Well,
knees?
first off, he was attacking a Patriots player, which Roger Goodell would love nothing more than the Patriots to not make the playoffs.
I
So
mean,
there's that. But non-conspiracy aside, again, it's because he hasn't actually hurt anyone yet. If he actually injured Bennett for whatever scale, he would get a suspension. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a surprise. But from what it sounds like, he's only going to get a fine. What I would want is, um, I would like for the coaching staff or just other players to sit Burfict down and tell him you need to stop acting like this. I get you're a physical guy, but you should not do this because it's going to cost you more games, and there are going to be games where we need you because especially, like I said, down the stretch the schedule gets rough, and they've lost games that they needed to win in the earlier, so they have to go in a win now near panic mode state. I mean, if you lose to the
right.
Browns next week, I have to eliminate you from the playoffs. No question about that.
Oh man.
You can't
But
lose to the Browns, Bill.
right.
But
But here's the other thing is how good did Tom Brady look in that game?
oh well,
He's
we're gonna
looking
get to Tom
pretty
Brady
amazing.
because the perfect thing actually segued into Gronk because it was a feud between them
Yeah.
both. I want to get the Gronk
Yes.
side out of the way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Gronk, he did not like that personally. He tried giving Burfict a piece of his mind because he knew that he took a cheap shot at him, and he knew about the one with Bennett earlier. Eventually, he had a personal foul on him, which it was fine. They still got a touchdown anyway. But Belichick, this is what makes Belichick a great coach. He didn't correct him after the game. No, he corrected him during the game. When Gronk was talking about that, you could tell he already learned his lesson. He tried not to do that shit again because and he even quoted some of the things Bill Belichick has around the facility, which is like you keep bad you don't do bad football, something like that. I'm paraphrasing here, but the key word was keep bad football, get it out of here, and that's exactly what he as soon as the bad football appeared, Belichick took Gronk and told him get that shit out of here. Which good on Belichick. This is exactly why he is the greatest coach of the new century in football, if not the greatest coach of all time. But
Right.
anyway, so Bill,
Exactly.
yes, let's talk about Tom Brady. What do you have to say about him?
Tom Brady already in 2 weeks has shown his revenge tour is in full effect. He's thrown for over 800 yards and 7 touchdowns and no picks. And it's only the beginning. It is only the beginning.
Yep.
Uh,
Next
I
week,
mean,
though. Next week, they have an exposed Steelers team, which the reason why this would have been a high-scoring game, possibly, but Big Ben's out, which we're going to talk more about that later, but the Patriots definitely have a chance of just steamrolling every team.
right.
It's going to be fascinating, but also, I don't know if you saw the post-game thing for the Patriots, but Brady was wearing this weird monochrome styled sweater.
Okay.
It looked bad. It's like it looks like I wanted to ask. I would ask him, why are you wearing the sweater? Do you just live inside the Patriots facility? I mean, like, is this your house? Because if it's your house, go ahead. Wear it then. But I know they asked Gronk about it, and Gronk's not questioning it. It's like, yeah, you don't question Brady. I mean, I'm questioning him somewhat, but I'm not telling him his fashion sense is shit. I mean, when you're winning trophies and rings, I don't let that shit slide. That's trivial. And besides, he's not even the breadwinner. Tom Brady's not even the breadwinner of his household. He's never been the breadwinner. His wife, the what?
The supermodel Giselle Bundchen is definitely the breadwinner of that family.
She has like 10 breadwinners. She makes the most money in that. He brings home, okay, she brings home the money. He brings home the jewelry, the rings.
Yeah, I mean, it's greatness meets greatness in two different ways.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But anyway, so yeah, Brady is unstoppable. These tight ends look unstoppable, and the wide receivers will be open because of this. So I don't know. So far, Amendola and I mean, it's been what? Who has it been? Hogan.
Yeah, Chris Hogan.
It's
and,
been mostly Chris Hogan that's been coming out, which I mean, it makes me worry for Amendola and who am I think? The other guy. I'm forgetting him right now.
Hogan?
No, not Hogan. You know, there was
Hammond.
Amendola and
Edelman?
yes, Edelman. I don't know why Edelman's name is hard to forget. It's Julian Edelman and Amendola. Those two are being quiet, which, as long as they're getting the catches that are being targeted for them, they'll be fine.
Exactly. I mean, you have a four-headed monster and you have a three-headed monster running back position. Good luck feeding all that, you know?
Yep. I mean, if any offense has a legit shot at beating like the Vikings defense, it would probably be the Patriots.
Yes. By
But
a long shot.
anyway. So Bill, next, let's talk about the thriller in Detroit. I thought this would be a boring game. Not quite. This game went back and forth, touchdown for touchdown, and it ended on a field goal kick for Matt Prater. And of course, Case Keenum he made a Case Keenum type of mistake at the end. Threw into triple coverage to be intercepted by Raphael Bush. And that was all she wrote. Case Keenum, I mean, here's the thing, Todd Gurley is not doing anything, and it's like he's cursed in this with the team that is having a lot of busts. Their offensive line, which they invested a lot of picks into, are just not showing it themselves, including their second round pick, which I think it's the right tackle. It's the right tackle, the right guard, and he's not even good. And the others haven't broken out yet and made the leap. But so I mean, Todd Gurley can't do it all by himself, but Case Keenum had his best game, Bill. And it still wasn't enough for them to win the game, because you want to know why? I will tell you why. Matt Stafford is a top 10 QB, and of course he's going to match what you throw at him. Right, Bill?
Right.
Also,
Exactly.
fun fact, Zenner and Gurley had the exact same amount of yards. There's something wrong with the Rams.
And here's the fun fact is Zach Zenner, I think, outplayed Todd Gurley for most of the game. And that's a scary proposition because Todd Gurley on paper should have destroyed the Detroit defense. The Detroit defense is not good, especially deep in the secondary. But up front, they're pretty solid. They didn't give up a rushing touchdown until this game against Los Angeles, and it wasn't to Todd Gurley. It was to Case Keenum.
Yeah, which it shows you how much they prepared for him. Which that's the problem with the Rams. Todd Gurley is all you have. I mean, Kenny Britt had a great game, which now they might start planning for him when it comes to the passing game. They need help. They need a star wide receiver to come over and play for them.
Yes.
Or just draft one.
Tavon Austin has been a giant bust of a wide receiver.
Should have put that money to Kenny Britt. Because you saw how he mowed over Lions defenders, which, granted, they're not that good because these are the backups. But
right.
It shows you that sometimes you know you have greatness in your locker room, but you just don't know until it's too late.
Exactly. I mean, here's the thing with the Lions and the Lions backups, that backup situation. They did pretty dang well to hold the Rams to only 28 points. And
I don't know about that, but I mean, I want to agree with you, but at the same time, I want to disagree because I like Case Keenum. I wouldn't expect him to put this many points in a game with a team like this, but
right. I mean, but really, they were bending all over the field. Was the Lions' defense, but when the time came, they didn't break. That's the thing is, on the fourth down play where they were trying to run it into the end zone.
Oh, that one was good.
Then. They didn't break then. They didn't break when it came to crunch time and they were protecting a 3-point lead. That's the point where you
makes you wonder if Jeff Fisher got that field goal, went in for a field goal instead, a chip shot field goal, they would have been tied and gone to overtime.
Correct. You cannot gamble points. You take the points. I know you're at the 2-yard line.
I get it because they were tied. At the time they were tied. That's why they could have gone for it. Because it's like, oh, it's not like we would have lost the lead. It's not like they had the lead over us. I understand where he came from, but with the personnel, I don't trust it. Like, you saw Oakland and Jack Del Rio do it, but that's because look who they have. They have Latavius Murray, they have DeAndre Washington, they have Michael Crabtree, they have Amari Cooper. They have all those players led by Derek Carr. They could do it. But this team can't do it. But speaking of fourth down plays, after that, was it after or before that? Stafford showed it how it was done, and that's because he was getting chased by Aaron Donald, the best defensive tackle in the NFL.
Yeah, he was running for his life, and he made a throw, which I can only describe as a sidearm throw, a heave. I call
it almost a flea flicker heave, which I know that's an oxymoron. But that's how I describe because it looked like a toss when you see his arm motion so fast.
Yeah, I mean, he was on the run for his life, and that was another play that could have went amazingly wrong, and it didn't.
It worked because Stafford is a top 10 QB.
Exactly. But, I mean, that could have went amazingly wrong, and we could have lost that game because of that.
But, Bill, let's talk about...
It's a game of momentum.
We need to talk about these wide receivers for the Lions. Anquan Boldin got a touchdown. Marvin Jones got a touchdown. And Golden Tate, Bill. Golden Tate is awake, and he was having a lot more fun than everyone in that stadium. Because he had his breakout game for the year. Got a touchdown. I think he got 2 touchdowns. I'm not sure. I know he got 1.
I think it was 1.
Yeah, he had 1 denied because a Rams player touched his shoelace, and that was enough to say down
Oh
by
yeah.
contact.
Yep.
That was close. What's next? If you touch their hair, does that count? I'm pretty sure that does count.
Any part of the body that is connected to the
Congrats,
actual
your hair
body,
is a disadvantage.
aka don't have long shoelaces on your freaking shoes. Just
Or just have
tuck.
long shoelaces for hair. Isn't that right? Eddie Lacy and Clay
Oh
Matthews
man.
from the Packers, which we got to get to them later. But Bill,
Right.
these Lions, I mean, the defense is. I'm gonna be honest, Bill. It's hot garbage because it made Case Keenum look like Joe Montana.
I
But
mean,
it still did what it needed to do at the end, Bill, and I'll give him credit for that. But
I'll put it this way: with a bunch of backups and second stringers in key positions on that defense, to even be anywhere near winning a game, you gotta hand it to them. They're
I
fulfilling the
will. But
next man
the
up.
bright side is Ziggy Ansah will come back this week.
Yes,
And they're going to need him
and
because the Washington football team has won, after losing two, they've won all their games afterwards.
sooner or later DeAndre Levy will come back, and then
But will he stay?
it'll be.
That's my question. Will he stay?
Will he stay healthy?
Or, yeah, not just that, or will he even stay with the Lions?
I mean, I can see Bob Quinn getting rid of him and
I think he
drafting
will
a
get rid of him.
linebacker.
And then they'll probably draft a linebacker or a cornerback in the first round next year, or next
Oh,
year's draft.
they need next draft needs to be all defense. That's flat out. And they also need to get rid of Laken Tomlinson off the offensive line. He's a good guy. He's a terrible offensive lineman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fair. But Bill, I'm telling you, I like this Cooter. I like the Jim Bob Cooter offense because the Lions offense is high octane. It is all about getting touchdowns quick and almost easy. But these finales, I mean, at least this is the thing. This is the one good takeaway from the offense that I'll say. They did not stop. Unlike before, they pretty much scored a touchdown every quarter. I think it was literally 7-7, 7-7, 7-7 for the first three quarters. For both
Right.
sides. Each one just scored a touchdown, and then at the end, the Lions put that extra field goal, which made the difference. Because the
Also,
Rams
Matt
chose to go
Prater.
for it on fourth down, and they failed. That literally cost them the game.
Yep. And one last thing to tie a bow tie on this game. Thank God the Lions re-signed Matt Prater and Sam Martin, the kicker and the punter. They don't get enough love. They both did their jobs amazingly well.
Yep. But Bill, let's move on to Lambeau. I swear, everything this year that I predicted is going completely awry. Because the Texans, when we talk about them, their offense is garbage. I don't think Osweiler is even the answer still, even with the win. The win does not cure all, in my mind. The Cowboys, who I wanted them to be about 2-3 at this point, are now 5-1, and Ezekiel Elliott has made history as the first rookie running back to get 4 straight games of 130 yards rushing after one bad game. He has
Right.
put clown suits on every single defense after the Giants' defense.
Yes.
And now they did not squeak by in Lambeau. It's one thing if they squeaked by. No, they comfortably won. There was only one moment in the game where the Packers looked like they could have came back because they scored a touchdown quick and easy, dink and dunk touchdown. But next possession they got the ball back and they blew it. Aaron Rodgers, Bill, is not the same. I like this, but I just wished for one game he would have played like he should have in this game, because I'm going to be honest, their secondary isn't good. Sean Lee knocked out Morris Claiborne, the only good secondary player they have. They ran into each other like two outfielders saying, "I got it," and they hit each other before the fly ball just goes around them, and that it's practically a home run.
Right. Exactly.
That's what I envisioned. The old cartoons of two baseball players hitting each other in the head. But Sean Lee
Right.
knocked him out. And it's like, Sean Lee, I know you're a great tackler, but come on, you're supposed to do that to the guys in yellow and ugly khaki pants, which the Harbaugh. Wait, which Harbaugh wears khaki pants? I think
Jim.
it's Jim.
Jim.
Okay, Jim
Oh.
Harbaugh. Yeah, I read in an article that they would not, like, not even Jim Harbaugh would wear those khaki pants. It's
Oh,
horrible. I
geez.
mean, the old uniforms, they're bad. Like, some people don't like the
Yeah.
Bumblebee or the prisoner slash prisoner Steelers outfits, but it's like that they're not
Right.
as bad as the retro Packers.
Yeah, the retro Packers with the hideous yellow helmets. Ugh.
I'd say the hideous,
Ah.
and they don't even match the color of the jersey.
Yeah, those they sometimes play in those jerseys against the Lions. We haven't used our old retro jerseys in a while.
You
The
are
old,
now for the Color Rush game.
oh yeah,
Yep. Well, wait. I don't know if you are going to wear them this year. Like, Houston has their Color Rush, but they couldn't wear them this year because the Patriots wore a dark color, dark blue.
right.
So we had to wear the whites. What I would have liked to see is if they wore them against the Bengals, because the Bengals would have had to wear theirs twice, but it's fine because theirs were white.
Right.
But oh well. Anyway, uh, so with this game, Aaron Rodgers was not himself. Jordy Nelson is not himself either. Some say, oh, is he just not healthy? No, I just don't think he can come back from an injury with a torn ACL at his age. A quarterback might be able to, because a quarterback typically, well, especially at ages like Aaron Rodgers, they don't run that often. They're not
Here's
mobile
the
quarterbacks like Cam Newton and Russell Wilson, which I think that's a generational thing with Cam and Russell and Kaepernick, that they're mobile quarterbacks.
right.
I think
And here's
it's
the
just a general generational evolution type of thing.
yeah, and here's the other issue with Jordy Nelson is he's reliant upon Aaron Rodgers to deliver him the football in a
Aaron
catchable
Rodgers is not
position.
throwing with the same poise. It's like he forces the throw. Like, imagine, okay, in terms of music, when you're off, like, you might be ahead or you're behind in music, the orchestrator will notice. They can tell. So, like, you might be doing it a bit early, so you might be a measure early, and that's exactly what Aaron Rodgers is doing. He's When the ball leaves his hand, it's just a bit earlier than it should because he's like in a hurry, whether there's pressure or not. He's not throwing them with that same finesse like he would
And
before.
and
Those awful, those. But when I say awful, not bad awful, the awful ones that always go for like 40 or 50 yards or a touchdown. The Hail Mary against the Lions and the Cardinals type of throws. I don't think he
right.
can make those throws this year unless it seems he needs to calm down and do that, which for your sake, Bill, you'd rather him not.
Exactly.
I mean,
I'll
there are
tell you
only two games I want him to do this for. This game, which didn't happen, and when they rematch the Vikings, because I do not want the Vikings to go perfect.
here. uh, I'll give you an example though. If you watch Aaron Rodgers' feet, he is not planting on the ground and making solid throws. He's hopping constantly as he makes throws. And he's not on a steady base to drive through the football. And I don't know if he's got some sort of leg injury the last couple years that he's not disclosing or something in his foot's bothering him. But if you really look at Aaron Rodgers' throwing mechanics, in the last 2 years, he has been making more off balance throws than solid planted throws. If you really look at it, he sort of hops as he throws instead of a solid base. And
Yeah,
to throw a football straight, you need a solid base. If you don't have a solid base, the ball's going to go high, the ball's going to go wide, and you're going to see a lot of picks.
Exactly. I mean, you made the Dallas secondary look good, which I think there was only maybe one interception out of the two that they did that looked good. But everything else just was bad. A lot of things went wrong for the Packers, and no less in Lambeau, which shocked me. I thought this would have been a easy steal for Green Bay to take it away from Dallas, expose their defense. There are some moments in the game where they did, which I have no doubt future teams are going to look at those plays like, yeah, this is going to work against this Dallas defense, because the Dallas defense is turnover based. But now let's look at Dallas and on the offense. Dak Prescott is pretty much he's saying two different things at once. When he speaks, he says, "Oh yeah, let Romo start. This is his job. I was only substituting for him." His actions are saying, "No, fuck that. The end of the Tony Romo era is nigh. I am the starting quarterback, and I'm going to try and take this team to a Super Bowl." That's what I hear whenever I hear him speak. His actions contradict his words. Because it feels like he's trying to do Drew Bledsoe, Tony Romo, which for his case, it's karma, basically. Over 15 years in the making for that karma, but it's coming.
The issue for Tony Romo is if Tony Romo gets hurt, and hopefully that doesn't happen, and if he comes in and starts and he takes over the job and he comes in and he plays for 2 games and then gets hurt, then you have lost the chemistry with your wide receivers and Dak Prescott.
My question is, Bill,
that is a dangerous thing.
There's a bit of a flaw in this logic. It's like saying, yeah, Romo has no chemistry with any of these players, and anyone who's saying that is just full of shit. Because, I mean, who's been the main quarterback for these guys the past 10 plus years?
Exactly.
And plus, to me, we see a different situation. We've mentioned it before. Beasley is the Jason Witten for Prescott's offense.
I'll give you one example though. What takes forever to develop in a season, and what you work on in the preseason, is developing your timing with your wide receivers as a quarterback to get the ball out on time. And timing takes time. It takes time to develop. And right now, Dak Prescott is on time with his wide receivers. And the minute you take him out of that situation, you throw off the timing, and then you have to get that timing back.
Something tells me no matter what, this is going to end badly, whether they keep him or they switch.
Tony Romo has to still develop that timing with the wide receivers. He's not going to just come back into the locker room and have immediate timing with Terrence Williams. He's not going to have.
Yeah, well, again, well, look, they say he's going to come back now against the Cleveland Browns, which, Bill, just like with Tom Brady, if you want any team to shake rust off, you want it with Cleveland.
Right.
So, I mean, if it was against Philly, I do not want to start Romo for any divisional team, because it seems those guys and the Steelers always knock out Tony Romo. But
right.
It's just, the reason why I want Romo to start is because out of respect. Because I want this guy, I would be glad if this guy won a Super Bowl, not Jerry Jones, not him, because that guy, you know how much I hate Jerry Jones as an owner and almost as an individual, because this guy is full of himself. He's like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. If things just luckily go in his favor, like with Dak Prescott, like, let's be real. Do you honestly think he believed that Dak Prescott would make this team 5-1? No, he probably had something similar to mine. That dude maybe is a smart businessman. He should know, like, he would have expected, yeah, I don't think he's gonna win all these games. He's gonna win like 2 or 3, but that's about it. We're gonna lose to a good team like Green Bay. Nope, didn't happen. things could not have gone any better for him. And now but when he's right, when he gets lucky, he's like, oh yeah, I always knew. I always believed in Dak Prescott. I knew he was the one. That's why I drafted him in the 4th round and not the 2nd round or the 3rd round. That's why I did that. Because I'm a genius. Fuck off. I despise Jerry Jones, Bill. And it would be a Jerry Jones thing to keep Dak Prescott up there because it's making him money. It's bringing in viewers. It's creating bandwagon fans, which, so, like, unlike other sports franchises, teams like the Packers, the Patriots, Steelers, and the Cowboys will welcome bandwagon fans, I would say, especially Cowboys and the Packers. Steelers are a little more loyal, and they know who's new to the pack. No pun intended.
If he's a prudent guy, he'll know the correct decision. And
I don't think there's a real one-way correct decision with this, Bill. I mean, let's not go into multiverse theory, but the best thing I'll leave it at is this. I think what he's going to do is ask the players who they want. Right. Because what better solution than asking the players? Because they're saying, who do you want to be the leader for the rest of this year? Do you want Romo or do you want Prescott? They're going to have to choose. And would you say that's a bad way of doing it? I think that's fair.
I would say that it puts the players in a predicament because then whoever's not the quarterback, let's say Tony Romo is not the quarterback, Dak Prescott gets the job, and then Dak Prescott were to get hurt, would Tony Romo have the trust of the locker room then? You know,
I think that he would. They should respect him. I would think they would. I mean, he helped them to the playoffs 2 years ago.
Here's if you have a decision from the top, then you could say, well, the top made that decision. It wasn't any of the players. It was ownership or the general manager or the coaching staff. That is who made this decision, not any one of us in the locker room. We're a family. We got to rally together and win it for blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But I honestly, the reason what makes me so angry about people wanting Romo out is, I think I mentioned it last week, but I'll say it again because I don't think I'll mention it another time, because we're not talking Cowboys next week. They're on a bye, so that's why I think I'll get it out of the way now again. People hated Romo when he started. They blamed him for everything, which maybe some things were on him, and other times it was just the team was overall bad. That's why Jerry Jones drafted an offensive line. That's why Jerry Jones drafted Dez Bryant. That's why they drafted these players, all these players, for him. And now, he gets hurt. Some of it's on him. He's a very brittle quarterback. He's like Peyton Manning in his last few years. You know, if you get one more critical injury, especially to your neck, you can never play again. He's been in that situation, Bill. And now Dak Prescott comes out of nowhere. Like, would we be having this discussion if Dak Prescott was not the way he is? No, we would want him back, even unless they went 5-1 again with whoever they had starting. Would they have wanted him if they went? Would they have wanted Romo if they went 2-3? Absolutely. Would they have wanted him if they went 3-2? Absolutely. Right. But because there's this big factor going on, and I called it the Cowboys factor. Because there's a lot of things pressuring this team into going to Dak Prescott. Not just Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott's play, but also that the media is saying they should do it. Fans are saying they should do it. It's all this group, these people, thousands of people, telling him, you should have Dak. You should have Romo. You should have Dak. But all those Romo voices are being drowned out by Dak. These fans, I don't think they truly respect Romo, because they only respected him when they went to the playoffs. When did they not respect him? When he was hurt because the team could not cover him well enough. Because in the past the line was garbage. I know we're used to this. Oh, this offensive line from Dallas is legendary. But what happened before that? It was garbage. How do I know this? I remember because that's when I was mostly a Dallas fan. That was before I even heard of Houston. Because, they never aired Houston games here until they started, being close to the playoffs. But
Right.
the line was garbage. That's why Romo got hurt. And even now when it's perfect, he just needs one good hit in the back and he's out. But now they want Prescott. They want Romo out. My big problem basically is that these fans don't truly respect him. And that's what pisses me off. Whatever decision they make, if they pick Romo, it's because they respect him. But the fans will get angry. Which, if that happens, fuck you. You are a terrible fan because you should respect this guy. Yes, he didn't win you a Super Bowl, but can you solely blame it on him? Can you solely blame it on something like that? On someone like him? I don't think you should.
I mean,
This team has never had the greatest supporting cast. The Patriots have won because they've had a great supporting cast. The Packers have won because they have a great supporting cast. You see where I'm going at, Bill?
I mean, I'll put it this way: is, at the end of the day, a decision needs to be made one way or another.
I'm not gonna like what they choose either way for various reasons.
I mean, I'll put it this way: I honestly believe the more prudent decision for the Dallas Cowboys for long-term health of Tony Romo is to not allow Tony Romo out on the field, because I don't want to see Tony Romo go out on the field, put himself in harm's way, and break his back. That's literally, because if he gets hit in a certain way, he could be paralyzed. And I mean, he's a brittle guy, and he's coming back from a lot of back surgeries. One wrong hit, and it's in his best interest to just want to stay in the
I know.
now.
I know. That's why I want them to start him, but I know they need to start Prescott. And that's what I hate the most about this situation, Bill. It's because it will feel like there's no respect for Romo no matter where you do it, either from the organization or the fans. It's literally choosing between two different types of poison. You're picking your poison, and each one is going to be equally unpleasant.
Exactly.
And that's what I don't like. It's not fair for him. It's not fair for them. It's just because Prescott, it sounds like I'm blaming him and wanting him to suffer for it. No, they lucked out with Prescott. I don't care what anyone says. Nobody expected him to do that. The hype for Prescott is what we should have for Wentz, which so far he's been doing great for the Eagles, even if they lost this week's game.
Right.
But it's what I don't like, because I have a lot of respect for Romo. Yes, he's blown a lot of games. Yes, he has not come through in some clutches. But what about those that he did come in? Because, you're always remembered for what you did wrong rather than what you did right. That's just a fact of life. Right, Bill?
Yeah. Right.
That's just how it is. And I guess I'll leave it on that note. But other than that, what the Cowboys, I have to admit it, and I hate doing so, but the Cowboys are for real. But trust me, I have another segment for next week when we talk about Dallas fans, and I hope my friend Andrew is watching, because unlike him, I'm not going to subtweet, I'm going to actually mention him to his face. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on to another team, and the other Texas team, which have been everything wrong as well. Nothing but disappointment for me. I don't care if they won. They had to come back against a garbage, third to worst defense. They were getting outclassed by the third worst defense in the league. Nearly shut them out the first half. Held them to 3 points up until the third quarter, and even so, it was 23-10. So it's 23-9 because the Texans missed an extra point, which would have mattered actually. But it's fine.
Yep.
They still came through with a win. I know people say victory cures everything. It's not true. Not with a win like this, because you had to come back against that, and Andrew Luck, who's been the most sacked quarterback this year, only had 2 sacks today, and they came in crunch time. So whenever the Colts were dominating, the Texans' defense was garbage. So I am just like, I'm just gonna get the rant out of the way. It's shocking. I am ranting about the Texans, even though they won, Bill. But why I'm ranting is because the Texans have just showed a lot of red flags everywhere. Defense, yes, I understand the pressure is weird because there's no Watt. We get that. I think most Texans fans expected this. Like, oh yeah, this defense is not going to pressure as much because the lack of Watt means teams need to just game plan for Clowney, which Clowney was still playing good. Merciless had a sack, but on offense, I'm getting sick and tired of the stagnation of an offense. For a time, I was hammering for Tom Savage to start because I'll take anyone over Brock Osweiler at this point. I still will. He needs to give his money back. Sure, you got those 2 touchdowns in the last 4 minutes, which is, I gotta give you credit for that. I give you credit for that. But, at the same time, what should I be hoping for that every game? Because you did that against the 3rd worst defense, and you're going to Denver. You're going at Denver. That is a very hard place to win in. It's no Seattle clink, but it's as close as you're going to get this year. They're not going to let you have that chance. Von Miller, Aqib Talib, they're not going to let you have that chance, especially when they know. Guess where almost all his interceptions have come from, Bill? Guess who he threw the ball to whenever he's picked off?
Probably DeAndre Hopkins.
Exactly. It's what I said in week 1 and week 2. You're forcing the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. Don't do that. You play the game like you should. Throw it whoever's open. And then DeAndre Hopkins will come open and you will dominate. But no, he's forcing balls to Hopkins when he shouldn't, and he's paying for it sometimes.
Right.
He's taking too long to throw. He's forcing some throws. This guy is not $72 million worth, if you ask me. And I know some people are saying, Chris Collinsworth saying, oh, it's too early. Yes, that's fair. That would be fair if this was a rookie quarterback or a second-year quarterback, but it's not. He is being paid $72 million. Do you know who you would pay $72 million to play for you for 4 years? An all-pro quarterback like Russell Wilson, like Andrew Luck, which, well, he's getting paid way more than that, but you see what I mean. Franchise-proven quarterbacks. Like, you know these guys are ready, and they are quarterbacks that can win a Super Bowl for you. Right?
Right. Exactly.
But if you're being paid $72 million, you have to be able to play at that level. When you're asking that much money, you're saying, I know I can play at that level. And I understand people might say there's growing pains, but like I say, you're being paid $72 million. That means you are an immediate impact player. You're not a player that gets better as the year goes on. You're not Joe Flacco. The only one I give the exception to that rule is him. Joe Flacco is the only quarterback I can think of that you can pay that much money and it's fine because he's always better when it gets colder. He seems to be cold-blooded. Or no, not cold-blooded. That's not the right thing to go with, but whatever. So on offense, there was nothing because the only way they scored, guess who? Lamar Miller had his breakout game against this bad defense, which rightfully so. He got his first 2 touchdowns of the year this game, receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown. Because, man, oh man, it's very sad when Lamar Miller, the other big signing, had to do all the work for the first 3 quarters.
Yes.
It's nuts. So the touchdown that tied it was a Fedorowicz one. That's also going wrong, which I guess that's a fortunate miscalculation. Because Fedorowicz is becoming a better tight end. I didn't think I'd see the day. I'll take it. I'll take it because Steven Anderson is injured right now, but I haven't even gotten to the injuries yet, which I'll get to that later. But, oh boy, overtime. Andrew Luck gets stuffed by Benardrick McKinney, who was their second-round pick last year. Year 2, this guy looks like a new Brian Cushing. I'm telling you, Bill, if Brian Cushing gets hurt again, he's gone. In fact, I still think he might be gone.
I think he's gone.
They're only keeping him because he's the play caller. But as soon as Benardrick McKinney can learn how to become a play caller, he's gone. That's honestly that's the only reason I think Cushing will not be gone. next year because Benardrick McKinney isn't ready to become a leader. Yes, he's a playmaker. To me, there's a difference from playmakers and leaders. You can make all the plays you want, but you might not be fit to be a leader. Isn't that right, Des Bryant, Odell Beckham? Like, they are playmakers. Go ahead, make your plays, but you should not be making decisions for the team. You know what I mean? You can be a playmaker, but not a good decision maker. I think there's a difference between the two. That's not saying they're stupid, but they don't always have the leadership capabilities. But if Benardrick McKinney can get leadership qualities, ironically from Brian Cushing, out the door he goes.
Yep.
But all right, so that happened, and then I should have mentioned this during the preview, but whenever they play the Colts, you need to start Jalen Strong for fantasy because he'll get a big play. And what did he do? He got a 30-yard pass, 36-yard pass from Osweiler, and got within the 10 for a chip shot field goal by Nick Novak, and it was over.
Yep. Damn.
It was the fans had left the stadium, which I don't blame them. But to me, you know what it reminded me of, Bill? Game 6 of the NBA Finals 3 years ago.
Miami Heat.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still salty about that because some people say that was the best finals, but not anymore, thankfully. Not anymore. Before this year's finals, everyone said, "Oh yeah, the 7-game series between the Spurs and the Heat was the best NBA finals ever." Oh, not anymore. Not anymore, thank God. But yeah, so Bill, what is your assessment of the Texans? I've talked a lot in these past 20 minutes.
All right. So the Houston Texans overall, I think, are a mess on offense. They're a mess on offense. And Brock Osweiler, I think, was the most overrated quarterback on the free agent market last year. Obviously, you need a quarterback, but I mean, really, the only way you're going to get a quarterback, great quarterbacks don't go on the free agency market. Great quarterbacks are drafted. And the only way to build a suitable quarterback for the Houston Texans is either taking one in the first round or, doing it that way, because that's really the only way you're going to get a franchise level quarterback. And who knows, that might be in the future, because Brock Osweiler overall is not worth the money they're paying him. The other issue is, the running game didn't get really on track, and the biggest issue with the offense has been the 3 and outs. They have been 3 and out constantly, and it's putting the Houston defense in a lot of bad situations. And overall, it's keeping them on the field for a very long time, and they're getting tired, and they're giving up points. The Houston defense is not bad. It's reflective of their offense, which is bad. And it's forcing the Houston Texans defense to be bad. They're not keeping the football nearly long enough. And I'll put another thing is the Indianapolis Colts. Like I said earlier in the Detroit-LA game, you do not go for touchdowns. Kick your field goals when you have the ability to take your field goals.
No, there was one gripe I had where the Texans threw a bubble screen pass on 3rd and 8. And I was thinking, right. I just said, okay, whatever. You thought, I'm going to throw it to C.J. Fedorowicz on 3rd and 8, not someone who's fast like Lamar Miller or Will Fuller, who can run very fast. Not to say C.J. Fedorowicz can't run, but he's not Will Fuller fast.
Right.
You didn't do that. Okay. Whatever. I mean, a win's a win. I'm glad they won, but I think they are the worst 4-2 team. Like, let's see. I want to check who's 4-2. You have Atlanta, you have Houston, you have Oakland, you have Pittsburgh. Actually, as things stand now, Pittsburgh is, but only because their quarterback is hurt. That's the only
Right.
reason I have to do that. Because if not, they'd be one of
Exactly.
the best 4-2 teams with Big
Yep.
Ben. But I I don't know if I have much to say about Houston aside from in terms of injuries. They have lost Kevin Johnson for the year. He broke his foot again, which
Yep.
that's bad because they are shorthanded on cornerbacks. He was meant to eventually replace Kareem Jackson or Jonathan Joseph because they're getting older. Because with all three of them, they were the best secondary in the AFC, if you ask me.
Right.
But they were all underrated because you have players like Malcolm Butler and Darrell Revis who hog all the limelight. But anyway, yeah, that's good. That's unfortunate. We have to hope Kareem Jackson and Jonathan Joseph come back and stay healthy because we need both of them. Houston, with this 2-game lead over the AFC South, they really just need to win two or three. They just need to win two more, actually, not three. If three is the last games, they just need to win two more of these games, and they will have locked up the division, if you ask me, because oh boy, it's going to be a tire fire seeing who wins this division. Right,
Right.
Bill? Anyway, let's move on to the other games worth discussing. So, Bill, those Panthers, 1-5. What's happening, Bill?
What's happening is their defense without Josh Norman is not as good, and Cam Newton is not as good as he was last year.
I think he's still
And
shaking up
they,
from the concussions. Remember, the
and,
first few games he got massacred by defenses.
right,
They
and
they
their
harassed
offensive
him
line.
all game.
Yep, exactly.
Uh,
They're just nowhere near the
meanwhile,
NFC champion team.
meanwhile, um, Josh Norman will have to go visit the New England area because he needs to have a tea party. Because he's gonna drink all the tea by the harbor. Because Jesus Christ, he is smirking his ass off that his new team is 4-2. Oh, I forgot about them. The Washington football team is 4-2 now, and the Panthers are 1-5. And I'm gonna be honest, I think the Panthers would be at least 3-2 if he was there. Because
Yeah,
there are games like
I would.
against the Buccaneers, I'm pretty sure he would have stopped Jameis Winston by himself.
Right.
So yeah, the clown suit is on the Panthers GM for cutting him. Nice
Right.
job.
Definitely.
Next, well, this one I'll just mention: the Titans are 3-3, and the Browns, Bill, 0-6. 10 more games to go for you, Bill.
I, I'm on a countdown right now.
10 games to go.
I'm marking them down, patiently waiting for them to become the worst team that ever laced them up.
Yep. Although, Bill,
I
I
mean,
will say, you want to know who the worst team is? I think not the Ravens. Why am I saying the Ravens? The 49ers. They may have won a game, but I wish they were 0-6 too, because I said the 49ers would have the first pick of the draft. Maybe. I mean, the only difference between them and Cleveland is one game.
right.
They are
I mean,
one game apart.
the 49ers got absolutely.
Well, to me, it's like they have no
obliterated by the
talent on
Bills.
either side of the ball. I mean, minus injuries. If we barred all injuries, Cleveland would have Corey Coleman. They would have. They have. Who else do they have? I'm forgetting the names of the players. Oh well.
RG3, would have had freaking Josh McCown. I mean, overall, they have decent talent.
Soon they'll
on that
have.
side of
I
the
think
ball.
they have more injured players on injured reserve than the practice squad,
I mean,
which is 10
but
people.
I'll put it this way, and this is what I'm going to say to the 49ers. Thanks for Jim Harbaugh. University of Michigan really appreciates it.
Yep.
I like watching Michigan football under Jim Harbaugh since they're, 6-0.
Yeah. Well, Bill, at least in Texas, University of Houston and the Aggies are playing really well too. Might see each other in one of the bowls one day.
Exactly.
Should be fun.
Exactly.
Texas football is back on top, and Michigan football is also coming up top.
Oh man.
But anyway,
But I'll mention one game that I want to just put a
well,
little bit of a spotlight on.
go for it.
And that is the Oakland Kansas City Monsoon. That was an ugly game to watch, and it was.
It bothers me. I expected more out of the Raiders.
Oh yeah, the Raiders are a good team. They just ran into the elements. That game is nowhere near indicative of what they.
And Andy Reid is the king of first game after a bye. He always wins those.
And that's really all I want to say about any other games that I saw.
All right, so I'm just gonna finish these last two games I wanted to mention. Okay. Well, first, Big Ben, he's out for a week at least with the meniscus tear. Don't know how long he's out, so he's not playing for the Patriots game. He's already out. But that's the thing. I mean, the Dolphins, I don't know what they did to him. I mean, they do have Ndamukong Suh, who was the former most dirtiest player alive. I mean, that's Vontaze Burfict now, but yeah. I mean, they did hurt Garoppolo, so I'm not surprised. They love injuring quarterbacks. That's how they win games. Anyway, next. Why I brought up the 49ers because Buffalo's fans. I mean, I should expect this because the fans support Donald Trump. No, not the fans. Their coach, Rex Ryan, supports Donald Trump. He endorsed him during the New York primaries. And why am I not surprised that they're making comments like this? They were telling Kaepernick to, they were telling the players, the Buffalo Bills players, to tackle that Muslim. It's like, this guy has to be a Donald Trump supporter. Yes, that's a fallacy, but I don't care. Because, my God, that type of comment just annoyed me. These guys, the Buffalo fans, I'm starting to grow to despise. Yes, they are a pained franchise. I understand that. You lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. I get that. But you know what? I'm going to enjoy it when you miss the playoffs just barely again. I mean, their offense is playing lights out, but you know what? Their personnel is so... I don't like their personnel. I mean, you have the Ryan brothers, which... Right. I mean, you know how much I hate Rob Ryan, and I enjoy seeing him sad. I mean, I've put his face up here a few times on this podcast. Worth it.
Right.
But, yeah, then you have LaShawn McCoy, who, you know, can get away with some crimes, and he will try to invite a lot of women into his place and tell them to dress very skimpy. Why? Because he's LaShawn McCoy. Okay, virtual borderline harassment aside, let's move another game. Baltimore, New York, Bill. The Giants wide receiver, Odell Beckham, gets 2 personal fouls for excessive celebration. And here's how I know he knows this is a show now. He's having this recurring theme with the kicking net. It's like, oh, I love you, kicking net. I used to hate you. Now I care for you. Oh, my God. It sickens me. And you see him take his helmet off. That is a clear flag. But part of me wishes that the Giants lost this game because it would have been on him. It would have been on him because someone in the Giants organization needs to talk to themselves. Don't act like this. Stop acting like a showboat. I don't care if we're winning or we're losing. Because when they're losing, he's like, I don't want to play anymore. I'm not having fun. It's like, no, stop. And when you're winning, you're acting like the biggest showboat since Dez Bryant, which I think he's worse than Dez Bryant, Bill. I don't think I would have actually been able to say that. He is partying hard. He is getting angrier hard than him. He cries when he meets a good corner that he can't beat. And he celebrates when he stomps over a injured secondary. So he wants scrub teams, and whenever he plays a good playoff near or Super Bowl capable team, he's like, why are these teams so bad? This game is rigged. I mean, he didn't say it was rigged, but I kind of expect that comment sooner or later. Long story short, I hate Odell Beckham still. What else is new? This guy is a child. Last game. before we move on, because this one caught my attention for the wrong reasons. It ain't no Pete Morelli, but it sure felt like it, Bill, because the Falcons should have gotten a pass interference called on Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas, because they had to pull Julio Jones down because they were afraid of him soiling their reputation as elite secondary players.
Right.
It was a clear pull of the jersey when he went up. I think it would have been catchable because Julio Jones can make insane catches like DeAndre Hopkins. And no, they did not do it. They did not call that, and Dan Quinn was pissed. And I don't blame him. I wish he went out in the middle of the field, obstructed the game to tell them, hey, you look at that shit and tell me that's not a flag. This is where I wish we could call flags, or we can have flags be reviewed. Or whether a play should have had a flag thrown on it, something like a personal foul.
Yeah.
Because that, if that stuck, the Falcons would have been in field goal range. Not the best field goal range. That would have been a 50-plus yarder, but they still would have been in range to try something. And they still had time on the clock to try to go more further down the field.
Right.
It was aggravating because it felt like they were trying to make the Seahawks win. But I don't think the Falcons are bad now. I mean, they hung with the best, and they could. If this was at Atlanta, they would have beat them.
Right.
But anyway, Bill, let's. Are you ready, Bill, for the picks?
Indeed.
Start us off
All
with
right.
Thursday Night Football.
So here we go. The Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers.
I have Green Bay, but I would love for Chicago to upset the Packers.
I'd find it hilarious, but I think the Packers are going to humiliate the Bears. So I got Green Bay. The London game on Sunday. The New York Giants at the Los Angeles Rams.
The Rams, this is the farthest any team would have to travel for a game. It's horrifying. It's excruciating to be a Rams fan because they got to get up at 6:30 in the morning to watch this game. In LA time, I mean. But I'm going to go with the Rams. I feel like they're going to steal this one, and Odell Beckham is going to get mad and probably rip apart the kicking net.
And I've got the New York Giants beating the Rams in a really hard-fought game.
You have who?
All right. The Giants.
Oh, okay.
I have the Giants.
So we're split here.
So next up, we have the New Orleans Saints at the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs. It seems now they're going to start hitting a stride. I'm hoping it's nothing like last year's where they won every game after going 1-5.
The Chiefs' defense is absolutely horrible, and the Saints' defense is absolutely horrible, but the difference maker is Drew Brees. I've got the Saints.
Oh, wow. I got an upset alert. You're saying they're going to beat them at Arrowhead.
Yep. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans will not be Titans after this game. I am saying Marcus Mariota and DeMarco Murray are going to outshine Andrew Luck and Frank Gore. It's like, oh, Frank Gore, you got a 100-yard game. That's cute. I'm going to put a 200-yard game and 2 touchdowns over you. That's what DeMarco Murray will tell the legend as they triumph over the Colts.
I also have the Titans beating the Colts, and this is the game where Chuck Pagano gets fired.
Oh, yeah. It's long overdue, Bill.
Next up, the Minnesota Vikings at the Philadelphia Eagles.
I will bet my lunch that this is the game I will see when I turn on my TV at 12 o'clock. I have the Vikings winning this game, going 6-0. I just can't see a rookie quarterback, no less, beating this stout defense.
Yeah, no. The Vikings are done win easy. They're done pick off Carson Wentz at least 3 times. Next up, the Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals.
I make this joke every time. Maybe the Browns should get a black Sharpie and put black stripes across their helmet to see if they could just blend in with the Bengals. Maybe get some 12th man on the field plays because they need flags to win this game. I have the Bengals taking care of business because they absolutely need this game.
The Bengals are going to crush the Browns in every way, shape, and form.
It'll probably be in the
All right.
most Browns way possible.
So, next up, the Washington football team at the Detroit Lions.
I'm gonna go with the Detroit Lions. The Washington football team's red hot, but I think the Lions have been upsetting a lot of teams who play good games, and I think that streak continues as the Lions wreak havoc in the NFC playoff picture.
And I also have my Detroit Lions again with reservations. I can see how the Washington football team will defeat them, but I'm still pick the Lions with reservations. All right, so next up, the Oakland Raiders at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I have Oakland. They need to bounce back, and what better way as the vulnerable Jaguars? They barely stole the game from Brian Hoyer. I think this time Derek Carr is going to prove he is a better quarterback than Blake Bortles, and that's because he was a second-round pick to Blake Bortles early, I think 5th or 6th overall pick.
Right. I've also got the Raiders. They're done crush the Jaguars. Next up, the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, Buffalo has this one. Rex Ryan's going to go 5-2 and act like he's a big shot, even though the first 2 weeks of the season he was on the hot seat.
I have the Miami Dolphins and Ryan Tannehill upsetting the Buffalo Bills, and they're going to shut down the Bills' offense.
So you're telling me Tyrod Taylor's going to get injured?
I'm saying that
That's how they win games. They injure quarterbacks.
I'm picking the Dolphins not to injure them, but they're going to shut them down. Next up, the Baltimore Ravens at the New York Jets.
I have Baltimore because the Jets' nightmares continues. Baltimore needs a win as well. They cannot be even because, look, Big Ben is out for a few weeks, then Cincinnati is exposed. This is the perfect time to capitalize and get ahead. I have Baltimore having a comfortable win over the Jets in the Meadowlands.
I agree with that assessment. Baltimore Ravens all the way. Next up, the 4 o'clock games. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the San Francisco 49ers.
I have Tampa Bay going into San Fran, taking them out in what I would say a 31-21 score. Mike Evans will have a monster day.
I agree. The Buccaneers are going to put up 40 points on that 49ers defense, and they're going to easily win. Next up, the San Diego Chargers at the Atlanta Falcons.
High-scoring game, but I think the Falcons will win this by 2 touchdowns. I want to say 44-30.
I would agree with that assessment. I will take the Atlanta Falcons. Next up, the New England Patriots at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
This would have screamed game of the week if not for the Big Ben injury. But the Patriots, with him gone, they have this game. This one, I would say, is my guaranteed win of the week. I've got the Patriots going 6-1, smooth sailing from here.
Same right here. I got the Patriots winning easily. The Sunday night game, the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals.
Bill might be calling me crazy for this, but I think Arizona has what it takes to stop Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. David Johnson is going to bust through, especially because Michael Bennett is out for this game most likely. I think he is the crux or the crutch for this Seattle front seven, and without him, it just crumbles.
I also have the Arizona Cardinals defeating the Seahawks. Russell Wilson is still pretty limited, and the Cardinals have a lot of offensive weapons. And then the Monday night game, the Houston Texans at the Denver Broncos.
I have the Denver Broncos because if Houston could crawl out of a 23-9 hole against the third worst defense. What makes you think they can do the same thing against the second best defense? I have Denver stealing this one from Houston.
I also have the Denver Broncos beating the Houston Texans. Too many 3-and-outs, just too easy.
All right, Bill. Next week.
Then the following week Thursday game is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans.
Well, you gotta love it. The annual Jaguars-Titans NFL Network only game. I have the Titans going 5-3. I know that's hard to believe, but I'm gonna take them with the Jaguars.
I agree. I'm gonna pick Tennessee, and I can't believe
I can't believe the
that.
Titans are gonna be 5-3. All right, Bill. I think that's enough for this week. Do you have anything else to say?
Nope.
All right, then. We will see you guys for week 8.